Welcome to News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil. Joining me today is Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Neil. Good morning and hello to our audience. Did you know that 745,000 people are killed each year by working for too long? That's according to a new study released by the World Health Organization.
That's a really terrible statistic. If you want to test yourself on any of the vocabulary that you hear in this programme, there's a quiz on our website at bbclearningenglish.com. Now let's find out some more about the story from this BBC News report.
The study looked at health risks for people working 55 hours a week or more and found a 35% higher risk of stroke and a 17% higher risk of heart disease. Men are more vulnerable than women. The Asia-Pacific, including Japan, Australia and China, is the worst affected region. The statistics date from before the COVID-19 pandemic.
So, the World Health Organization has released a report about working hours. The study says that working for too long can kill you. Around 745,000 deaths each year can come from working too long. Working 55 hours or more can increase your chance of having a heart attack or having a stroke. This is particularly true for men. And the study says that the worst affected region for this problem is the Asia-Pacific region, which includes Japan and Australia.
Okay, well, you've been looking at this story at the various news websites and picking out really useful vocabulary for our viewers to learn. What have you got?
Today's vocabulary, Neil, we have killer, burden, and detrimental.
Killer, burden, and detrimental. So let's hear your first headline, please.
Of course, my first headline is from Reuters. It says, long working hours are a killer, WHO study shows.
A killer, something or someone who kills. Now that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Why are we learning this? Everyone knows what a killer is.
Probably a lot of our audience do know what a killer is, Neil, but we're going to look at some sort of wider uses of this expression. It has more than one meaning. To begin with, let's look at the headline. A killer, this is a noun. It's a singular noun, and it's something or someone that kills. Note that long working hours is plural, but a killer, with the article, remains our sort of fixed piece of language. This is the same with cigarettes, for example. Cigarettes, plural, are a killer. Means cigarettes are a cause of death. They can kill you.
Now, all of these examples you've given, this is all really negative stuff. But our audience may be surprised to learn that we can use killer in a positive way.
Yeah, and that's why we've chosen it, because that's why we're here to look at different ways we can use this language. So, for example, how would you feel if I said I watched a killer movie last night and I ate a killer sandwich while I did that?
Well, I would hope that the sandwich was not bad. It didn't affect your health. To me, it would mean that it was a really great sandwich, or the film was really, really good.
Yeah, or I had a very strong emotional reaction, you could say. So if I watched a killer movie, that could mean that I watched a really great movie, and I ate a killer sandwich. That meant I had a strong emotional reaction because it was so delicious.
Yes. Now, I think what we can tell from this is that context is really key.
Context is everything. So let's take that movie example. If I watched a really funny film and I said, oh, it was a killer, that might mean it's hilarious, it's really funny. But if I watch a sad film like Titanic and I say, oh, it was a killer, that could mean it was very sad. As you say, context is everything with this expression.
Yeah, and we can also say that someone kills someone, and it doesn't mean that they kill them. It means that they make that person laugh a lot.
Yeah, I could say, so Neil kills me with his jokes on News Review. It means they make me laugh a lot. I have a strong emotional reaction, and that is hilarity. It's really funny.
I try my best, Tom. Okay, let's get a summary. If you would like to watch another story about work, we have the perfect one for you, don't we, Tom?
Yeah, we do. Are you work? Do you want to work for free? This is our story. It's about young people being expected to work for free. It's 6-minute English, and you can find it by clicking the link in the video description.
Okay, let's take a look at your second headline.
Cool. Yeah, my second headline is from stuff.co.nz, which is a website from New Zealand. It's not actually a headline, it's from the body of the article. It says, a new study has put the spotlight on just how detrimental working long hours are for people's health. And that word is detrimental.
Detrimental, likely to cause harm.
Okay, yeah, so detrimental is an adjective, and it's got an interesting pronunciation as well. 4 syllables, detrimental, and it's that third syllable. Detrimental is the pronunciation of the adjective, and it means it's likely to cause harm or be damaging.
Yeah, so when we talk about harmful things, we can say that they are detrimental to something.
Definitely, yeah, you could say cigarettes are detrimental, or you could say cigarettes are detrimental to your health. Detrimental to is a kind of common construct and it's followed by a noun. Cigarettes are detrimental to your health. Working long hours, also detrimental to your health, as the headlines are telling us.
Yeah, so detrimental is an adjective, but there's also a noun version, detriment. We have to use that in a special kind of way, though.
Yeah, detriment, and again, it's quite high register. It comes in the expression to the detriment of. It means kind of like at the expense of. So I could say, Neil works too long. Neil works too many hours to the detriment of his friendships.
Yes, it's not true at all, but a good example.
It means that you spend all your time doing news reviews, so you don't have time for your mates.
Yeah. Now, as you said, there's quite a high register. That means it's quite formal, both detrimental and detriment. In our ordinary spoken English, what sort of thing do we say instead?
I'll probably just say like it's bad for you or something, or it's harmful. Yeah, we wouldn't normally use detriment. Normally detrimental is quite formal and you'd see it in the context of like this, like reports on health or something like that.
Okay, let's get a summary. Now, a lot of people these days are saying that red meat is detrimental to our health. Others disagree, but we have a program on that topic, don't we, Tom?
Yeah, is red meat harmful? That's what we're talking about. You can find it by clicking the link in the video description down here.
Let's have a look then at our next headline, please.
Perfect. Again, we're not looking at the headline, we're looking at the body of the article. This is from the World Health Organization website, from the release. It says, this work-related disease burden is particularly significant in men, and that word is burden.
Burden, something that causes difficulty or hard work. Now, Tom, I know what a burden is. If you have to carry a huge weight on your back, that is a burden, literally.
That is a burden, Neil. So burden can be literal, or burden can be kind of figurative or metaphorical. So let's look at this piece of text from the WHO. The burden that they're talking about, the thing that's causing difficulty or hard work, is work-related disease and death coming from work-related disease. And it said that this is causing particular difficulty for men who are most affected. Yeah,
and it's also, we talk about carrying a burden, having a burden. It's also a verb, though.
Yeah, it is. It is also It is also a verb. Before I look at the verb, let's look at that kind of literal figurative meaning. So we were talking about a figurative burden, like a problem, something, the work-related disease causing a problem. And burden could also be the stuff that we actually carry, like the ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal recently. Its burden was too heavy. The stuff it was carrying was too much.
Yeah, so we're talking about figurative heavy loads.
Yeah, exactly. And burden can be a verb. So you're talking about the stuff you put on, this heavy load, a burden on a ship. You could say that we burden the ship with this weight.
Yeah, if I asked you to do loads of extra work, we could say that I was burdening you with a load of work.
Yeah, so we'd use the figurative meaning because he wouldn't literally be placing microphones and computers on top of me, hopefully, but you would be giving me more responsibilities. I'd have to carry more responsibilities, we could say.
Okay, let's get a summary of that. Time now for a recap of our vocabulary, please, Tom.
Today's vocabulary, we had killer, something or someone that kills, detrimental, likely to cause harm, and burden, something that causes hard work or difficulty.
If you want to test yourself on the vocabulary, there's a quiz on our website, bbclearningenglish.com, and we are also all over social media. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
See you next time, and see you on the website.
There are fears that Russia is about to invade Ukraine. I'm Neil, and this is News Review from BBC Learning English. Joining me today is Roy. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Neil, and hello, everybody. If you would like to test yourself on the vocabulary around this story, all you need to do is head to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, to take a quiz. But now let's hear more about this story from this BBC News report.
Germany has become the latest Western nation to publicly warn that a Russian invasion of Ukraine may be imminent, with the Vice-Chancellor Robert Habeck saying Europe could be on the verge of war. Germany also stressed the unity of the countries, warning Moscow against military intervention.
So, several countries have now said that a Russian invasion of Ukraine could happen at any time. This follows several countries advising their citizens to leave Ukraine and the evacuation of some embassies.
Now, you've been looking at the various news websites at this story. You've picked out some vocabulary that's useful for understanding the story. What have you got?
We have full-blown, chillingly silent, and false flag.
Full-blown, chillingly silent, and false flag. So let's have a look at your first headline, please, Roy.
Okay, so our first headline comes from The Express, and it reads, Russia versus Ukraine in charts and numbers. How a full-blown conflict could play out.
Full-blown, fully developed.
Okay, so this is full-blown. First word, F-U-L-L. Second word, blown, B-L-O-W-N. There is a hyphen in the middle, and it is being used as an adjective. And what it means is something that is fully developed or fully formed.
Yeah, okay. As you said there, it's a sort of set expression, full-blown, not fully blown like you might think, but full-blown. So what's the feeling of this piece of vocabulary? Why do we use it?
Okay, so in the terms of the headline, what we're using it as, it says full-blown conflict. And what it means is it's not just a small attack, not something minor. This is a fully realized attack, a fully realized war. Full-blown basically means fully developed.
Yeah, and it's a useful little set expression, isn't it?
It is, because we can use it outside of the context of war, obviously. For example, two colleagues in the office, they may start having some kind of minor disagreement, like saying, no, that was you, no, that was you. And before long, it becomes a bigger fight. And we can say that it developed into a full-blown argument.
Yeah, so as your example showed there, we can use it for something as significant and worrying as a war. But we can also use it to describe a dispute or an argument between two people.
Absolutely. Now, what is interesting, we can also use it to talk about the pandemic. We used it quite often to talk about the pandemic, another very serious thing. So at first, we started talking about an outbreak, a small outbreak, and before long, it became a full-blown pandemic.
Yeah, and I guess that's the sense contained in this expression, that something that was small becomes something which is enormous.
Yes. Now, interestingly to say, we've used mainly negative meanings of full-blown here, but you can also use it not negatively. However, we do commonly use it negatively because we can sort of exaggerate the severity or the drama of something, so to really emphasize how big something is, that it is at its limit. But in a positive note, you could say, oh, I invited a few friends over for a couple of drinks and a chat, and before long, lots of other people arrived and it became a full-blown party.
Okay, well, let's get a summary. If you're interested in stories about international relations, we have a video about companies versus countries in a legal sense. What do our viewers have to do, Roy?
All you need to do is click the link in the description below.
Let's have a look at your second headline.
Okay, so our second headline comes from The Independent, and it reads, Australia evacuates embassy in Kiev and calls on China to not remain chillingly silent.
Chillingly silent. Frighteningly quiet.
So this is a two-word expression. First word, chillingly, chillingly. Second word, silent, silent. Now, silent, of course, means quiet or no noise. And chillingly means unsettling. It makes you feel uncomfortable or scary.
Now, Roy, I thought that something that was chilling was cold, physically cold. You know, that word chilly means cold. So what's the connection between silence and temperature?
Yeah. Okay, so there is an idea of chill being cold. So, for example, you could say there is a chill in the air if the day is very cold, or it's chilly today. Or, for example, like for that full-blown party, you could put some drinks in the fridge to chill them, to make them feel cold. But in this sense, chillingly, it means frighteningly or scarily, or it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yes, because being cold is an uncomfortable experience, but it is connected here figuratively to feeling kind of scared.
Yeah, so for example, you could say that a horror film is chilling if it's very, very scary, or if somebody tells you a story that makes you feel very uncomfortable or scared or frightening, we can say that that story is a chilling story.
Yeah, and so the sense in the headline here is that the silence from China is worrying.
Yes. And interestingly, we do have another expression, don't we, related to this, about your spine, Neil.
Yes, that's right. If something is really scary, we can say it sends a chill down your spine. Or a shiver. A shiver is something that you do when you are cold. So we can see that metaphorically, figuratively, cold is connected to fear.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, if something's very scary, sends a shiver down my spine.
Okay, let's get a summary.
This is Sana. When I first met Sana, she told me about how she was fit.
Talking of silence, we have a lesson on the silent E that you will find sometimes in English words. Where can our viewers find it, Roy?
All you need to do is click the link in the description below.
Okay, let's have a look at our next headline.
Okay, so our next headline comes from The Eye, and it reads, Russia invasion of Ukraine imminent. Minister warns as Moscow plots false flag attack to provoke war.
False flag, invented excuse for an attack.
Yes, so this is a two-word expression. The first word, false, F-A-L-S-E. Second word, flag, F-L-A-G. And it's basically saying an invented excuse or a created reason for some kind of action or attack.
Yeah, okay, and if we break it down, we've got the word false, which obviously means not real, and flag. Flag is a material banner that is used to indicate a country, for example. So together, what's the meaning here?
The origins of this expression are not 100% clear, but it relates strongly to deception. Now, what a number of countries and media outlets are saying is that Russia will create a reason to justify an attack, basically saying that Russia will create an excuse to invade Ukraine, and that's according to some of the speculation in the media.
Yeah, okay, so it's, in a sense, it's kind of false labeling, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly it. Now, we don't only use it in the terms and context of war. We can also use it sometimes in politics. Now, if somebody is running for office and they're going for a political position, you can sometimes say that they're running under a false flag of policies. So if they say, for example, that they believe heavily in environmental issues, but really they don't, they have a secondary agenda, they're running under a false flag.
Yeah, and that's related but slightly different to the meaning that we're talking about here in this headline. That is about deceiving people again, but it's not about provoking an attack.
Mainly, we don't use this outside of the context of war and politics. That's one thing to say. So, for example, you wouldn't say in the office, oh, my boss was running under a false flag or something like this. It's very, very strange. You may say that my boss hid their true intentions. So mainly we talk about false flags related to conflict, war, or politics.
Okay, let's get a summary. Time now, Roy, for a recap of the vocabulary, please.
Yes, we had full-blown, fully developed. We had chillingly silent, frighteningly quiet. And we had false flag, invented excuse for an attack.
If you want to test yourself on the vocabulary, there's a quiz on our website at bbclearningenglish.com, and we are all over social media as well. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.
In Canada, Freedom Convoy protesters have been arrested. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Hello, I'm Rob, and joining me today is Roy. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Rob, and hello, everybody. If you would like to test yourself on the vocabulary around this story, all you need to do is head to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, to take a quiz. But now let's hear more about this story from this BBC News report.
Officials in Canada have now made more than 100 arrests as they seek to end a 3-week blockade of the capital Ottawa by lorry drivers. They're protesting against mandatory COVID vaccinations to enter the United States. More than 20 vehicles have been towed away.
So, lorry drivers in Canada have been protesting against rules that they must be vaccinated against COVID-19 in order to enter the United States. They have been blockading and blocking the city of Ottawa.
An interesting story. And we've got 3 words and expressions from the news headlines that you can use to talk about this story. What are they, please, Roy?
We do. We have siege, bitter divisions, and final push.
That's siege, bitter divisions, and final push. Okay, well, let's have a look at the first headline, please.
Okay, so our first headline comes from the Bangkok Post, and it reads, Police reclaim Canada capital after trucker siege ends.
So that's siege, organised operation to prevent a place from receiving supplies in order to force a surrender.
Yes, so siege is a noun and it is spelled S-I-E-G-E. And it basically refers to an operation that prevents a place, for example, a city, from receiving any kind of supplies in order to force them to surrender. Now, it's commonly used as a military tactic, and we often see it used with the verb lay, to lay siege.
Yeah, so we tend to see this used in war and depicted in films, is that right?
Yeah, it is. It's a military tactic where, for example, a group like an army surrounds a place, for example, a city, and it stops that city from receiving supplies like food, and it prevents people from leaving the city. So, in other words, people inside the city are potentially starving, and this is a tactic used to make those people surrender.
Okay, so we're kind of talking about the military and the army, but this headline isn't about that. It's about truckers. What are truckers?
Okay, yeah. So truckers is another word for truck drivers. Now, a truck in American English refers to that massive vehicle that is used to transport goods along the road. Now, as I say, truck is an American English word. In British English, we refer to the vehicle as a lorry, and the person who drives it is a lorry driver. And you can also call that person an HGV driver. HGV stands for heavy goods vehicle.
Okay, and going back to this word siege then, we sometimes use it in connection with groups of protesters or even terrorists.
Yeah, the important idea here is that it's all about groups of people. So it's like an organized operation of a group of people to stop a place from being supplied or to force a kind of capitulation or surrender.
Okay, let's have a summary then of that word. In News Review recently, we talked about the volcanic eruption and tsunami that hit the Pacific island of Tonga, where it was cut off from the rest of the world. How can we watch that video again, please, Roy?
All you need to do is click the link in the description below.
Okay, let's have a look at your next headline, please.
Okay, so our next headline comes from the Financial Times, and it reads, Justin Trudeau ends Canada's trucker siege but leaves bitter divisions.
So that's bitter divisions, angry disagreement between two groups.
Yeah, so this is a two-word expression. First word is bitter, B-I-T-T-E-R. Second word, divisions, D-I-V-I-S-I-O-N-S. And basically, the first word, bitter, relates to kind of being angry. And the second word, divisions, is a disagreement or some kind of split or separation.
So I thought bitter had something to do with taste, like the taste of coffee or lemons. They are bitter.
Absolutely. It can refer to taste, but it also has another meaning which refers to being angry. So bitter is, you can say it's a replacement for the word angry. So for example, if you have a bad day, you could be quite bitter. Now, we commonly use bitter to talk about a longer form of anger. So it's not quick, and it's also sort of builds over time. So you can become bitter over time.
I mean, I'm bitter if I have to go into the office for a meeting that either doesn't take place or is a waste of time. I get bitter about the time wasted.
I can understand that. So that's a good example of being bitter. Now, we're also talking about divisions. Now, a division is when two parties or two groups disagree, and it separates them, it splits them, for example, in their opinion, down the middle. So it could be talking about two countries who are divided. It could be divisions in political groups, or, for example, between protesters and other groups of protesters.
Okay, what about though if I had a disagreement with you, Roy, about who's going to make the tea or coffee? Would we have a bitter division over that kind of situation?
Well, I disagree. We never have a disagreement. But no, as I said, it's about groups. So individuals, you may say that I disagree with Rob. It's your turn to make the coffee. Or maybe if I disagree with you over an opinion, I may say that we can't see eye to eye, means disagreement. But we don't commonly use it to talk about just two individuals. It's more commonly used to talk about groups.
Yeah, so two large groups, they are divided into different opinions or where they stand on a situation.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Okay, let's have a summary of that expression. Are you struggling to disagree with someone? Well, we made a program about how to disagree better, didn't we, Roy?
No, we didn't. just disagreeing. Okay, all you need to do to watch that program is click the link in the description below.
Yeah, it's definitely down there below. Okay, let's have a look at your next headline, please.
So our next headline comes from the Mail Online, and it reads, Canada makes final push to end weeks-long protest in capital. Hundreds of police officers surround downtown Ottawa and warn residents to keep away or face arrest after taking almost 200 into custody this weekend.
So that's final push, last effort or movement.
So another two-word expression. First word is final, F-I-N-A-L. Second word push, P-U-S-H. Now a push is a movement or an effort, and final, that means last.
Yeah, and I hear this a lot in sport. A football team makes a final push for promotion, or even just a final push to win the game by scoring maybe another goal.
Absolutely. So what a final push means, it's an ultimate last effort where you get all of the energy that you can to just make that final last huge effort to achieve something that possibly before you haven't had too much success doing. So in terms of the football team and the promotion, maybe it looks like they're not going to get promotion. They're not going to go up to the next league, but they just get that final effort to try and get promoted.
But in this headline, we're not talking about sport or football. We're actually talking about the police who are trying to break up a protest, yeah?
That's right. So they're making a huge final effort to end the protests. Now, we don't only use it in this sense, you can use it in many different ways. For example, a politician can make a final push to run for a position or a presidency. Or in terms of business, if negotiations between two parties, they're not going too well, you can make a final push to close the deal.
And can we use this expression informally, casually?
Not really. So, for example, if it's your birthday, Rob, and I've been trying to buy you a birthday present without success, I'm not going to say I'll make a final push to get your birthday present. This is for bigger kind of operations, for example, ending a protest or closing a business deal.
Okay, but you'd still make an effort to buy me a present, wouldn't you?
Always.
Good. Let's have a summary of that expression. Okay, we're almost out of time, but let's have a recap of the words and expressions that we've discussed today, please.
Yes, we had siege. Organized operation to prevent a place from receiving supplies in order to force a surrender. We had bitter divisions, angry disagreements between two groups, and we had final push, last effort or movement.
Don't forget, you can test yourself on these words and expressions in a quiz that's on our website at bbclearningenglish.com. And that's the place to go to for lots of other learning English materials. And don't forget, we're on social media as well. That's all for News Review for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.